you do this in your Sprinter, yeah, I didn't think so. I just want to show you these self-made sawhorses. They're pretty useful. I used 4 of them to cut these panels. It's just a beam out of 2x4s, and then your 2x4 legs that sit inside of there. And I use these, you know, to build my house. So they're great. 2x4s are great sawhorses. So now we get to the part where we cut the panels out to skin the frame. I used a 60-tooth carbide-tipped saw blade in my circular saw, and it cut those composite panels like the proverbial hot knife through butter. Well, you might wonder what I'm doing here. I'm paying my stupid tax. So I tried to put this panel on the frame over there without having anything to like register on, like some fixturing around the edges. I thought, oh, I can just eyeball it and slowly lower it into place, but as you can imagine, what happened is it just got away from me and went splat and was totally crooked. And let me tell you, this VHB tape is no joke. I had to use a wire, I'd use a razor blade first to try to cut through it. And then I used I don't know, it's probably like a 16 gauge wire or smaller to kind of saw back and forth and get it to release. It took forever. So I lost a couple hours there, and then I sprayed it all down with WD-40 to try to get the adhesive to be able, so I could remove what was left of the tape. So very expensive, like that was $16 worth of VHB tape, and time-consuming endeavor. Don't do what I did. Okay, so I think I'm going to be a little bit smarter this time. I've added some edges here to register this panel off of before it sticks to the tape. See, like that. And I'm going to do it in a vertical position instead of horizontal, so I'm not fighting with gravity. In this case, gravity is not your friend, I found out. So here goes nothing. Here we are marking and drilling out the holes that are in line with the weld nuts that we're going to use for our accessories. And this wasn't as tricky as I thought it would be. I just used a small drill bit and opened it up with a step drill and didn't wreck the threads on the weld nuts. Okay, so I'm getting ready to put the front panel on. I went ahead and put down the VHB tape. One thing I wanted to show you though is how I finished these ends. I just took an inch and a half outside end cap. I couldn't find any inside ones, and just trimmed it down with a razor knife and slathered it in silicone and stuffed it in there. Tapped it in there with a hammer. So that's how I'm sealing off my ends. And we've got our fixturing ready to go. We learned the hard way that we need that. And we're going to put it on. Just a note on VHB tape. I used to work for an off-highway vehicle manufacturer about 30 years ago. And at the time, management was looking for ways to cut costs, so they decided to farm out the cabs to a vendor who I believe also built cabs for John Deere. And we all got a good laugh out of their technique of applying the panels to the frame. They used VHB tape, whereas at our company we used rivets. Actually, as it turned out, the VHB tape worked really well, and we were surprised
It could also be used to help seal the cab from moisture intrusion. So I recommend the VHP tape.
Okay, so I've got the skins on. Now I'm going to put these aluminum angles on the corners to protect the corners. As you know, campers get beat up pretty bad in the corners, although this one probably won't be as bad because, you know, the cab of the truck is actually outside this corner just a tad. So I've gone ahead and caulked both sides. I've cut these pieces at the 5 degrees and I've marked them. I'm only going to put rivets on this front face because I think that's all it needs, and because it looked better that way. Now I have no way of clamping this piece because, you know, there's no way to get a clamp on it, so I'm going to hold it in place and hope it doesn't slide like the other side did, because that was bad. I'll stop there and make sure I'm... Be sure and read the hole a little bit so the rivet will go in. And then these are countersunk rivets, so I'm going to use a chamfer tool. To put the chamfer on there. Okay, just like that, but 3 more times. Okay, so yeah, here are the finished cab corners, 4 rivets on the inside, nothing on the outside. One thing to keep in mind, I dropped here, is if you have any stains or blemishes on your aluminum, just use a little Scotch-Brite and they come right off. I assume these aren't anodized, but they're just bare aluminum, so I'm not taking that. Well, you can't take that anodized finish off at Scotch-Brite anyway. So on the back here, the door is going to close over the top of this trim piece. So from the side, you know, look like this, and then the door will close against it, and then the door is going to have some rubber trim around the outside to finish it off. The rear I was able to clamp. Okay, so we're going to start our roof assembly out of the extrusions. I've gone ahead and kind of laid out all the parts where I think I'm going to need them. One issue that I'm having is I didn't order the kind of T-nut that you can roll into place. I thought this profile was that kind of T-nut, but it's not. It's only the kind that slides into place down the end. Well, I don't want to have to disassemble this again, so I have to be thinking through and slide all the T-nuts in the end that I think I'm going to need. So I got to take into account the hinges, the handle, the shock mounts, the latches. I think for the Ketter rail that goes on the inside, I'm just going to go ahead and buy more of the roll-in kind. I know I'm going to forget something, so I'm just going to have to buy some rolling ones, because I'm not taking this apart again once I put it together. The other problem is T-nuts didn't have, the brand T-nuts didn't have these in a zinc or cadmium. So I hope these don't rust. Oh, and I gotta slide them in the top rail, the top grooves too, for the roof to attach. So yeah, that's gonna be fun taking all that into account. I've kind of drawn out on this piece of paper what I think I'm gonna need. So we're gonna go with that. And if there's any extras, like I say, for accessories, an awning, a light bar on the front, I'm just gonna have to get the rolling kind later. Okay, I'm gonna walk you through how I've been doing these corners. So yeah, I've been inserting my T-nuts in each side for, you know, like I say, shocks, hinges, the roof, these brackets. Now you'll notice I've been putting 2 in here, but there's only 1 hole. Well, I read Ripcord's blog for the rooftop, or for the Wedge camper, Go Fast camper knockoff that he built for his Tacoma. I read it for like the 100th time today and realized that his pictures show these brackets with the single hole on each side, but in the text it says he actually used a 4-hole bracket to keep the frame from twisting, which makes perfect sense. I wondered about that myself actually. So I'm gonna have to order new ones of these anyway with the 4 holes. So I've gone ahead and added those extra T-nuts in there for that purpose. So what I've been doing is I've been siliconing the outside ones, putting them on there, putting Loctite on the blue Loctite on the screws, and I just install them loose at first and make sure that the corners are touching right here, like that, perfectly touching before I cinch everything down. So they end up looking like that in the end. Okay, I just set the roof on the space frame just to make sure it was the right size. It looks like it is. I went ahead and put these corner gaskets in to bring the height of the bracket, or make up the difference between the bracket and the height of the extrusion, as others have done. The only thing I've noticed is I probably need to make some kind of cap right here to finish this off. It looks kind of goofy. And of course I have to caulk the heck out of everything. Okay, so doing a little math here and laying out the T-nuts to attach my roof panel. So what I did is I came in, on the long side I came in 3 inches from each side, measured that distance, and then divided it by the number of T-nuts I had, plus 1. I wanted it to be around 12 inches. I think it ended up being about 12 and 7/16. Because the reason I say plus 1 is because you're counting the spaces, not the T-nuts. And on this side, the short sides, I came in 2.5 inches per side, divided it by the number of T-nuts plus 1, and I came up with like 11.1 inches. So that's not bad. And then I just transferred those measurements to the opposite side, wrote them down, and now I'm just doing that. And so the first one, I'm going to come in 2.5. I'm just making a pencil mark out to the edge. I'll get rid of that later. So 13.6. It's going to be roughly 5/8. It doesn't have to be exact because I'm going to lay the panel on there. Anyway, just keep doing that all the way around. And I'm going to lay the panel on, mark the holes, and drill them. I'm going to do something brilliant for a change. I'm going to put just a dab of silicone down on the track. these into place. I'll end up with my little mark, and hopefully they'll stay. Oh. Just a little dab will do ya. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go for broke on this. I pulled the protective film off of this side. I'm gonna go ahead and caulk my edges, just my outside edge probably. That's where the water comes from. I'm gonna get my wife to help me lay this on there, align it, clamp the corners. I'm just gonna drill it and bolt it in place as I go. Maybe do 2 opposite corners first. Put these clamps on, I don't know if they'll do any good. And then I'll probably, to deal with the chips, I'll probably take my shop vac, and after each hole just suck out any chips that the shop vac can get, and hopefully it won't disturb those T-nuts. I'm gonna give that a try. Build it in place method. It's just kind of awkward. So grab it with both hands really tight, really tight. Okay, now let me do my end first. Alright, that should do it. Thank you. Alright, this is the process. Find where you marked your hole, get it with a center punch. This stuff's so thin, the center punch almost goes all the way through it. Drill it out. And then I've been putting a fatty step drill in there. That's been getting rid of most of the chips. I'm going to go ahead and just run my fastener in to make sure it's got, yeah. I'm going to put a little bit of dab of Loctite on there. These are the 1/2-inch screws. I guess that's all you need for here. And I center the washer, kind of just a little bit OCD that way, I guess. And put a good solid twist on it. And you can see the caulk is spooging out around the edge there. That's a good sign. I'm going to leave the protective plastic on here for now. I might regret that later. I might have to go like around with a X-Acto knife and trim those as I peel it up. I don't know. We'll see. I'm gonna leave it on for now. Hey, it provides extra moisture sealant under the washer, right? All right, we're really cranking on this now. It turns out after you punch your hole, center punch your hole, these fatty step drills from Harbor Freight are just they actually locate in that pretty well. You don't have to pilot drill it. You go to the 3rd step and it cleans all the, it deburrs it, takes all the shavings out. I don't see any shavings down in there. It's saving a lot of time. A little bit of Loctite on the end of the screw. Center the washer if you're OCD about that kind of thing. And then for your final torque, be careful because you can actually crush this stuff, I've noticed. And that washer doesn't want to center. Yeah, don't go too tight because you'll see a little dimple around the hole. Alright, yeah, so that's how we skinned the roof. As you notice, I like building things in place as I go instead of, pre-marking everything with drawings and then drilling them and then and hoping, crossing my fingers that they'll go together. It just, when you're building something custom and one-off like this, you're just better off, I think, building as you go. Kind of like a house. I mean, it's funny because the industry I'm in, everything's very precise. Thousandths, half thousandths, 2/10ths of a thousandth, or even smaller. And that's not what we're doing here. We're building the house. We're building the camper. So just, CAD will get you so far. They'll get you your basic design. But, you notice I didn't bother putting all these holes in CAD. I drilled them as I went, lined them up with where the T-nuts fell. Speaking of where the T-nuts fell, that step drill also worked really well to kind of center the T-nut as the hole went through. I didn't have any problems missing any T-nuts between that and siliconing the T-nuts into place so they wouldn't move around on me. I think that was the trick. I hope we can use that for the next big part of this project, which is the bed frame. Yay. All right. Here we are, a beautiful Sunday morning. We've got the bed frame we're going to assemble. I've laid it out here. Put all the T-nuts into place. Just slid them in the tracks. Just make sure you think through all that. I ran out of T-nuts, which is fine because I want to order the zinc coated kind that you can roll into place after the rails are assembled. So I've just put the T-nuts in there I think are important for the hinges. This is upside down at the moment. And for connecting the space frame. So we're gonna caulk them and all the fasteners will be Loctited. Should go pretty fast. Okay, we got that done. Again, these corners, they're just like the ones for the roof. Caulk each of the exterior joints. Put your 5/16 buttonhead cap screws. These ones you can actually go 1/2 inch long, but these inside ones, you need to do the 5/8 in order to pick up the T-nut. Make sure this corner is touching before you cinch everything down. And just kind of assemble it loosely and then tighten it. Use the Loctite. I was just double checking. I kind of had a heart stopping moment. I was afraid that you had to insert this bulb seal, from the end, from the open end, but apparently, thank goodness, you can just push it into place. So otherwise I'd have to disassemble it and flip it over and put it in. I wore these guys right out, huh? They wear you right out, Ruby? Yeah. Okay. Okay, so as I prepare to bolt the space frame onto the bed frame, I'm measuring and transferring the holes lined up with the T-nuts over into the frame. So I just mark it and put a dab of silicone there and get the T-nut into the silicone. Hopefully it'll stay in place long enough to where when I tighten down the fastener, it'll be there.
Here we are putting cork gasket between the space frame and the bed frame. It is applied with a self-adhesive, and then you need to transfer the holes through the cork gasket so that you can fasten it to the aluminum extrusions of the bed frame. And then I got my son here to help me flip it over and put it upside down on top of the bed frame so I could run the fasteners in. Okay, so I started putting
the corner bolts in to make sure I was aligned. They've gone pretty well for the most part. If the T-nut isn't aligned, I'll take this. Well, first of all, I'll take this flashlight. It's amazingly bright, except for it just started to die. And I'll look and see if I can see where the T-nut is. And then I'll take this punch and just kind of adjust if I need to. That one was right on, so I didn't need to do that one. Actually, so it's going pretty good so far. I think the key was drilling these on the drill press before I welded them into place so that the holes were perpendicular, and drilling them oversized. They're 3/8 hole for 5/16 fastener. And then siliconing those T-nuts into place so they don't get jostled around while we flipped the space frame upside down on top of it. Hopefully it'll continue to go that smoothly. So this one was off a little bit, so I pushed the punch in there and moved it around, broke that silicone until it lined up. And then I'm using a regular washer and a lock washer on here because the fasteners are too long. Rather than cut the fastener down a little bit, I figured the lock washer couldn't hurt even though I am Loctiting it. Alright, an update. I didn't get this one in after all. And I don't know if you can see this, but when I stick my Allen wrench under here, I can see the tip of the Allen wrench poking in there and not the T-nut. So I tried using a magnet to pull the T-nut back, but I can't reach it. So I'm going to pick up this corner and shake it and see if the T-nut will slide out. Luckily, it's that one and not one of the ones in the middle. All the others are in though. Hallelujah. I don't know where we screwed up on this one in the corner. Okay, so I laid out the T-nuts for the overshot attachment, overshot skin, and I caulked both sides on this one just because it seems like if there's any moisture that's going to come in while you're driving in the rain, that rain's going to come in right through that seam right there. I should probably address why I didn't use the wiper seals between here. And I just felt like if the silicone's doing its job, you don't need the wiper seal. I mean, the fasteners, you can't put a wiper seal where the fasteners are, so you're relying on the silicone anyway. So why not rely on the silicone between the fasteners? I realize that the pressure is being exerted here and here by the fasteners and not out in the middle, but I still don't see the value of the wipers as long as you've got a good silicone joint. And I'll also silicone the outside when I'm done. So anyway, I've got those marked. We're gonna set the overshot skin on there and drill some holes. Okay, day 47 of our wedge camper build. Just kidding, I have no idea what day it is. We went ahead and flipped it right side up so it doesn't look like a dead armadillo anymore with its paws in the air. While it was flipped upside down though, I don't know if I showed you this, I added this trim piece under here to keep just to clean up that edge and hopefully keep the moisture out of there. Now we're going to take our oscillating saw And cut that off right there. Lots to think about. Okay, still working on the door. I've laid out where I want my angle, my aluminum angle to go. About a 1/2 inch offset from around the inside here. A little bit more on the sides because of the shock. I've got my angle here and I've marked it 22.5 degree half angles, so 45 degree total. We're going to try to do that all in one piece all the way around. Wish me luck. I think we're going to try cutting it with the angle grinder. Okay, so bending them didn't work. I don't know if it's just the wrong flavor of aluminum for bending or if I need to heat it up. But I mean, the problem with heating it up is aluminum, it doesn't change colors when you heat it up. So you heat it up until it melts and boom, you're done. So I'm gonna just go ahead and clamp these into place, drill them, rivet them as I go. It's gonna be kind of like finish work on your house. I'm gonna fudge the angles a little bit until I get things to line up so it doesn't look too terrible, I hope, when I'm done. Okay, so I got the door frame on there. It's a little bit tricky because I had to leave enough room, you know, for the lift shocks and also a latch down there. Right now I'm doing the hinges. Kind of been dreading this part, you know, because you got to make sure the hinges are exactly lined up. I think what I'm going to do is just clamp them where I want them like that. Mark them, drill the holes through the panel. And then before I put the fasteners in, I'm going to use those holes to mark the holes into the space frame tubing. And then rivet those and fasten this way. We'll see how that goes. I really should have picked up some number 10 fender washers for these. I'm just going to throw some 1/4 inch washers on here for now. They're number 10 fastener, but it'll work. Okay, moment of truth. Ah, it closed. And it opened. Kind of wish it opened a little bit more. Weird. Well, at least I don't have to worry about the rain running down and getting inside. Alright, got the latches on. Found a little problem though. I thought since they were a matched set that there'd be like a left hand and right hand, or I'd be able to configure them to work on the left and the right side. But unless I'm really missing something, this one works great. Open, closed. This one, not sure what to do. I think I can get by rotating at 90. Then it'll look weird because one latch will be 90 and the other will be 180. One latch will be like this when it's closed, and the other latch will be like this when it's closed. That's all I can do for now, I guess. Yeah, so that's kind of lame. That's locked. It's horizontal. That's locked. Vertical. I guess that's what I get for just assuming that they were a matched set. They weren't. So I have to figure out what to do about that later. So eventually, after I do my vinyl wrap, I'm going to put this trim on here. And there's some little adhesive strips. God, that kind of bugs me that door doesn't come all the way up parallel with the rest of the camper, or even a little bit higher. If I had just known somebody with some really good CAD skills that could have modeled these shocks for me and their locations, and I could have got the right length of shock and got that to work. Who would that have been? Okay, a little progress update. Went ahead and put the roof on. Got the hinges on here. I decided to go with 3 of them. I went about, I think it was 31 inches back from the front for my shock. And I've got this kind of sketchy, but 2 methods of holding it there at about roughly 48 inches open for the opening height. Got a pulley and a rope, and then also a tie-down strap hanging from where I got that kayak. So, hey, these are too long, so I've been cutting them down. Let me put my hearing protection on here. Just been cutting them down with this cut-off wheel. Alright, so here we are. The roof is standing on its own 2 struts, as it were. So, just for reference, for 48 inches of height of opening, I'm 31 inches from the front of the camper to here, which puts, I think, most of the force into the frame and not the 80-20. I probably could have gone 32, put more of the force into the frame. Oh well. And 57.5 here from the front. So let's see how it works. If I can reach it. Ta-da! They did say to mount these with the big part up and the rod pointing down for some reason. What do you think, Gabe? Are you impressed? Gabe, you impressed? Yeah, you look impressed. Okay, latches. So I'm gonna try to get away with one latch per side. These are just the stock Jeep, not stock, replacement Jeep hood latches for the JK that you can get on Amazon for like 25, 30 bucks a set. So I don't have the problem of the shock trying to open the roof. In fact, it actually closes once you get down to about 3 or 4 inches. It actually kind of snaps shut a little bit. So I think I'm gonna try to get with just one per side instead of the one on the back and the one on the side. But this actually worked out really well in my case. So I just had to drill out that hole to 5/16 and then chamfer it so that that flathead screw would sort of sit flush down in there. And then this, you have to disassemble this barrel nut here, but then that one goes right in the groove, and it looks like it's gonna work for me. I don't have the seal in here yet, but I think that seal. And then if I don't want this to rotate, I may put a self-tapping screw through that hole, but I don't see why it would rotate. I mean, especially when it's latched. So I'm disassembling the next one, getting it ready to go. You just get rid of all the fasteners on the bottom part. And I guess you don't need these rubber pieces either, because I think they're just to protect your paint when it's used on a Jeep. We'll see how that goes. These latches remind me of some cheap toy, die-cast toy or something. Alright, I'm gonna torque that guy. Ruby shake, Ruby shake. Good girl, good girl.